I heard last night from Destiny that the reason we see left-wing cancel culture and all of this anti-conservative bias at the left-wing media companies and in Hollywood and amongst corporations, and this is why corporations support BLM and everything else, is that that's what's best financially and economically for these companies, that there's so many more leftist Antifa BLM supporters that it makes sense that you have to kick off conservatives off of platforms and you have to support BLM as a corporation and all of this stuff. And it's just the free market. This is just the free market. That's why conservatives get kicked off platforms, and that's why corporations support BLM and stuff, and it's just the free market. And it's complete garbage. And here's why. Number one, what is the number one cable news channel? Fox News. What is the number one cable news show? Tucker Carlson. What is the number one talk radio show? Rush Limbaugh. What is the number two talk radio show? Sean Hannity. What is the number one publisher on Facebook? The Daily Wire. What is the top one of the top podcasts? The Ben Shapiro Show. What happened to Gillette after they went super woke? They lost $8 billion. And so it's complete garbage. Left-wing stuff is not a smart route to go for companies and businesses. Conservatism is, the United States of America is a center-right country. This idea that radical leftism is a smart economic move for businesses is complete garbage. The American people are yearning for their companies and businesses and cultural institutions to not be political and hardcore left-wing. The reason that we see anti-conservative bias at tech companies and the reason big corporations support BLM has nothing to do with their financial decisions or economic decisions. Number one, it's because their leaders, a lot of the big tech companies are based in San Francisco, and they're a bunch of leftists that run these companies. Number two, for all of the ones that aren't the more typical corporate ones, is that these companies and businesses don't want to have to deal with the mob, and the left-wing mob is willing to use their hatred and their intolerance and everything else to get their way. And so these companies and businesses basically cave to this tiny minority position of this radical left position, which is not supported by a majority of Americans. But these companies and businesses and cultural institutions cave to it because they don't want to have to deal with the vicious attacks and the hatred and the intolerance and everything like that. And that's why you're seeing cancel culture, too, at such a high level, specifically going against free speech and everything like that. And it's just, I made this analogy about, how can China control the WHO when China gives the WHO $10 million and the United States gives the WHO $300 million? Well, the reason is because the United States is not willing to use coercion and force and bully tactics. And the United States just gives its $300 million to the WHO and says, oh, go to what you want. China, on the other hand, even though they're only given $10 million, is willing to use coercion and force and bully tactics. And so that's how China can then, even though it has much less money to give to the WHO, can exert much more a powerful influence over it. And it's the same thing going on with the radical left in the United States culturally. It's this idea that this has to do with smart economic decisions by companies is complete hogwash. It has to do with the radical left being extremely hateful and intolerant and using force and coercion and bully tactics to try to get their way. And it's going to come back to bite these companies in the butt, just like it did for Gillette after they went woke. And we got to start pushing back against some of this stuff.